Hi there. In this session we're going to take a look at how we can manage expenses within Mission Control. So we can submit expenses in a number of different ways. The primary way is via the expense log, which is accessible via the Mission Control console. I'm going to jump into there and show you how we can do it from this page. This allows me to load up a number of different expenses across multiple different projects from the one page. First of all, what I'll do is actually select the person that's actually incurred the expenses, and what that does is goes away and identifies the mileage rate they'll be claiming if they're actually submitting an expense for distance as opposed to an amount. So to start with, what I'll do is actually just add in a couple of extra rows onto the list. And the first step is to look for my project that the expense was incurred on and specify the category. So in this instance I'm going to say it was a $200 expense claim, and that will work out the amount being claimed. I'll put in some notes here. Now I can set that to pending, or if I want to I can automatically set it to submitted, so the person that approves the expenses can see that on their list of things to do. In this instance I'm going to leave it as pending. I can mark it whether it's non-billable, so if it's non-billable on a time and materials project, this expense won't be included in any invoices generated. I'll just add a couple more expenses now. In this example, I'm going to claim that I'm traveled a distance rather than claiming an amount. So I'm just going to put in the number of kilometers or miles that I actually traveled, and that will calculate the amount being claimed based on my mileage rate. Once I'm ready, I click on Create Expenses. That will go away and create all of those expense records against the relevant projects and just give me confirmation that they've been created. I also have the ability to submit expenses on the go while I'm out and about using Salesforce One. If I open the tabs and navigate down to my expenses, then simply click on New, and now I can fill in the details of the expense. So I've submitted my expense claim there. Now I'm standing on the street, I've got my I've just jumped out of the cab, I might have the receipt in my hand. So what I'm also able to do is actually take a copy of that receipt and automatically append it to the expense record. So I'm just going to click on the file button there. I'm going to take a photo of the receipt. And now I'm going to click Submit. Now jumping back into Salesforce in the browser, I can see the expense record that's just been submitted via Salesforce One. I see all of the details, and I can also see a copy of the receipt that was attached as supporting evidence. If I have any expenses that are sitting there with a status of pending and I'm ready to submit those for approval, I can simply go to the Expenses tab, select the My Pending Expenses list view, and that will load up a list of all of the expenses that are currently sitting there with a status of pending. If I want to submit all of these, I can simply select the checkbox to select all records and then do an inline edit, changing the status from pending to submitted and applying that to all 4 records. If I refresh that list, they will disappear from my pending, and now they're submitted for my expense approver to review and approve those expenses. As somebody who is nominated as the person that will approve expenses incurred by other people, you can come to the Expenses tab, select the expenses requiring my approval list view, and that will show you a list of all of the expenses that are currently sitting there by people who have incurred by people who need your approval. So you can jump into individual records if you need to view the detail. Otherwise, if you're happy, if everything looks fine, you can simply select them from the list. Again, double click on the status, changing from submitted to approved and applying that to all records. They've now been approved, so if I refresh the list, they've disappeared off my to-do list, and I can jump into the project. If I scroll down to the bottom of the project overview, we'll see all of the expenses that have been submitted, who incurred them, the details of the expenses and their current status. Anything that has been approved will automatically be calculated in the actual expenses in the high-level project financials.